Hello students, we are starting with the third chapter, that is issue of shares. In our earlier, this is a continuation of the second chapter, that is the source of capital finance. In the earlier chapter, we have studied the various sources from where the capital could be available for the company and how the capital can be raised by the company and how can be invested in the company. So we have seen the sources. Broadly there are two sources, owned capital and the borrowed capital. Owned capital, again the equity shares, preference shares and the retained earning, we have seen that. In the borrowed capital there were things like debentures, bonds, public deposits, loan from financial institutions, loan from banks and trade credits. So these were the concepts that we have studied in the earlier chapter, and in this chapter, that is in the third chapter, issue of shares, we will study in detail how a company issue different types of shares depending upon its need, and we will also learn about the various concepts related to the shares. So let us start with the first concept, that is concept 1, classification of shares. As you can see in the picture, there is a classification is been made. Normally the company can issue two types of share. One is the equity share and second one is the preference shares. Usually the share capital is been raised by the company in order to maintain a proportion or balance between the share capital and the various needs that could be fulfilled by the share capital. Here the classification is given. First one is an authorized or nominal or registered capital. Authorized, nominal or registered capital is a capital which has been mentioned in the articles of association of the company as well as in the memorandum of association of the company. Normally authorized share capital is been mentioned in the memorandum of association of the company, and accordingly the rules and regulation will be given in the articles of association of the company. Now this authorized capital, we can say normally when you learn in accounts also you call this capital as an authorized capital. So we will going to see this concept of authorized capital. Authorized capital is that capital which has been mentioned in the memorandum of association of the company, and this is the capital where the company can raise the capital from these sources during its lifetime. So that is the maximum amount of capital where the company can get from these sources during its lifetime. So authorized share capital, here 1 lakh of equity shares. In authorized share capital, 1 lakh of equity shares is been given here. That is an authorized share capital of the company into 10 each. What is this 10? This is the face value of shares. Face value I have said, that is the basic value of the shares which is mentioned in the memorandum of association, and this face value could be from 1 rupee to 10 rupee. Basically the company will decide rupees 10. So here 1 lakh of equity shares is the total amount of shares which the company can raise during its lifetime into 10 each. That is the face value of one equity share. If we multiply 1 lakh in 1 lakh of equity share of rupees 10 each, then the total amount that the company could get from the share capital is of rupees 10 lakhs. So here I hope that you all are very much clear about the authorized share capital of the company. This capital of the company is mentioned in the memorandum of association of the company. Accordingly the rules and regulation has been given in the articles of association of the company. Then after this authorized share capital, there is a classification given. First classification is an issued capital and second one is an unissued capital. Now here 1 lakh of equity share that the company can raise during its lifetime, but the company could not exercise its power of issuing entire 1 lakh of equity share at a one time. So here what the company will do, as the need arises, as the demand is there for the capital in the company will issue that much amount of equity shares in the market, and accordingly they will raise the finance. So here that is called issued capital. So out of that 1 lakh equity share, the company have issued only 40,000 equity shares. How much? Only 40,000 equity shares has been issued by the company for its finance. So here 40,000 equity share into rupees 10 each. 10 each means what? The face value of one equity share. So 40,000, the company have issued 40,000 equity share to the general public at rupees 10 each. And how much the company would expect to get the amount? The total amount, 40,000 equity share into 10 each, the total amount that the company would able to get from this particular issued is of rupees 4 lakh. So I hope that this concept of issued capital is very much clear to you all. And the second was unissued capital. Unissued capital is that capital which the company still have not issued to the general public for this subscription. Company have not exercised its power to issue the shares. So here how much share is been remaining, how much share is not been issued by the company is of 60,000 equity share. Total how much share capital was there? 1 lakh. Out of that 1 lakh, the company had issued 40,000, and how much is not been issued? 60,000. So 60,000 equity share of rupees 10 each is equal to how much? 6 lakhs of rupees. So here total 10 lakh rupees that the company could get from its equity share. Okay, now the company has issued only 40,000 shares, so the company would expect to get 44 lakh of rupees, and rest of the 60,000 share where the company would going to issue it in the future date. So company would able to get 6 lakh of rupees in the near future. So I hope that issued capital and the subscribed capital are very much clear to you all. Now let us see, there is again a classification is there in issued capital. First one is a subscribed capital and second one is an unsubscribed capital. So here company how much have issued? 40,000, but the subscription of equity share is only 30,000. Subscription means what? Company has sold out. So company wanted to sold 40,000 equity share, but the investor have purchased only 30,000 equity share, which that is the subscribed capital. Company wanted to sold 40,000 equity share, but the investor have purchased only 30,000 equity share. So the investor, the number of shares that the investor have purchased from the market, that amount of that number of share is known as a subscribed capital. So here company wanted to sell 40,000 equity share, but the customer have purchased only 30,000 equity share. So this 30,000 equity share is known as the subscribed capital. So here 30,000 equity share has been sold out to the investor in the market at rupees 10 each. So how much the company will going to get? 30,000 into 10 each is equal to rupees 3 lakh. So here the company would get rupees 3 lakh because 30,000 equity share has been sold out to the customer in the market, and the unsold equity share, that is a share which is not been sold out to the general public in the market, is of 10,000 equity share. 10,000 equity share into rupees 10 each. So how much share is remaining? Rupees total amount is 1 lakh. So here 10,000 equity share has been not sold out in the market at rupees 10 each. So the company would not able to get 1 lakh of rupees from the investor because that has not been sold out to the customer investor in the market. Now again there is a classification is there from in the subscribed capital. The first one is a called up capital, second one is an uncalled capital, and third one is a reserved capital. So again further classification has been given here in the subscribed capital. First one, how much share has been issued or sold out, how much share has been sold out to the customer in the market? 30,000 equity share at rupees 10 each. So here this rupees 10 each is not been collected at only one time from the customer in the market. Okay, so here rupees 10 each is been collected in an installment. The company will not collect rupees 10 each on a particular share from the investor at a one time only, but the company will going to collect this 10 rupees in an installment, and that installment is been bifurcated into called up capital, uncalled capital, and reserve capital. So here let us see this called up capital. 30,000 equity share of rupees 5 each. So here how much total face value of the share was? Rupees 10, but here the company has called only rupees 5 each. Okay, so here 30,000 equity share, when the company will collect only 5 rupees on each share, so the total amount that the company will get is rupees 1,50,000. So here 30,000 equity share into rupees 5 each, so company has got only 1,50,000. Total amount that the company will get is rupees 3 lakh, because that is the subscribed capital. Okay, 30,000 equity share into 10 each is equal to rupees 3 lakh. So the company will get 3 lakh rupees, but up till now the company has got only 1,50,000, that is 30,000 equity share of rupees 5. So the company has got only 1,50,000. The second one, that is an uncalled capital. Uncalled capital is that capital which the company still have not made a demand from the investor. So here how much is an uncalled? 30,000 equity share of rupees 4 each. So how much is an uncalled? How much still the customer have to pay? Rupees 4 each. So 30,000 equity share into rupees 4 each, that will comes to rupees 1,20,000. So here 1,20,000 is a total amount that the company is still pending, and whenever the company will demand from the customer in the investor in the market, they will going to get. And reserve capital is that capital which the company will going to demand after a specified period of time, whenever there is a necessary to have certain decision based on the equity share capital. So here rupees 1 each. So here 30,000 equity share into rupees 1 each. So how much amount that the company will get? Company will get rupees 30,000. So here the total rupees 5 each, called up, uncalled rupees 4 each, and reserve, that is rupees 1 each. So if you add all this, rupees 5 plus rupees 4 plus rupees 1, so total amount that you will get is rupees 10 each. In called up capital also, the company the company will not we can say the investor may not be in that kind of position to pay all the amount that the company have got. So there may be a possibility, or the chances could be there, that some investor may have not paid the called up capital, whereas some investor have paid the called up capital. So here see again there is a bifurcation in the called up capital. The first bifurcation is paid up capital, and the second one is a call in arrears. Okay, so in paid up capital, total how much amount of share is been issued by the company? 30,000. But here the paid up capital, only 20,000 equity share of rupees 5 is been paid. So here the 10,000 equity share on the total number of equity share was 30,000. 20,000 equity share the company have managed to get rupees 5, and rest 10,000 equity shares still the people have not made the contribution to the company. So here we can say 20,000 equity share of rupees 5, the company have collected rupees 1 lakh, whereas rupees 5, that is on 1 lakh 10,000 equity share, that is rupees 5 each, so 50,000 still the company have not got. So here the company will make a reminder to the investor so that he could able to contribute. And again, if this particular share on this particular share, if the contribution is not made by the investor, then the company have the right to forfeit its shares. Forfeit is another concept we will learn in the further. So here I hope that all of you are very much clear about the chart and the classification that is given here. The first one is a authorized share capital, the total amount that has been mentioned in the memorandum of association, and in that authorized share capital the company is issued 40,000 equity share and 60,000 equity share still the company hold. So here in the issued of 40,000 equity share, the company have managed to sold out only 30,000 equity shares, whereas 10,000 equity shares has been not sold out in the market. There is no demand for this 10,000 shares in the market, and accordingly this is known as the unsubscribed capital of the company. In the subscribed capital, again there are three situations which may be there. The company will not collect all 10 rupees at a one time. The company will collect this 10 rupees in an installment. So first is called up capital. On 30,000 equity share, the company has made a call of rupees 5 each, where the company could able to get rupees 1,50,000, whereas uncalled the company will again make a demand of rupees 4 rupees each on 30,000 equity shares, so the company will able to get 1,20,000, and rest of the amount that the company would get is after a specific interval of time 1 rupees each on 30,000 equity share, that amount comes to rupees 30. In called up capital, again there may be two situation could be there. The first one is a paid up capital, that is the company have managed to get rupees 5 each on only 20,000 equity shares, which comes to rupees 1 lakh, whereas 10,000 equity share which has been sold out in the market, but the customer may not be in that position to pay rupees 5 each, that is known as a call in arrears. And if after making a certain reminder to the investor, if the investor doesn't make the payment of the called up capital, then their shares will be forfeited in nature. We will learn the concept of forfeiture when we proceed with the further concepts. So here I hope that all the classification of shares are very much clear. Let us study the concept of each and every thing given in the classification of share in a proper way, so that all of you could able to understand. Here let us start with the first one, that is the authorized nominal or the registered capital. Authorized capital is a maximum capital authorized by the memorandum of association that the company can raise by issuing the shares. So here I have said that this is the total amount of capital which the company could raise during its lifetime, and which is also been mentioned in the memorandum of association of the company. It is also known as a registered capital, and it is mentioned in the capital clause of memorandum of association of the company. You all have learned this capital clause of memorandum of association in your 11th standard. Okay, so here memorandum the company pays the stamp duty on this amount at the time of incorporation. So the company have to pay the stamp duty to the ROC, and accordingly they can mention the total amount in the authorized share capital. Authorized capital is been calculated considering the need of the capital of the company at present and in future. So this capital could be calculated on the basis of the needs of the company according to its nature, according to its size, according to its activities, and accordingly that amount could be calculated, and that will be mentioned in the memorandum of association of the company. Authorized capital is also known as the nominal capital, as usually company never issue the entire authorized capital. Example given here, let us see that M Limited company has authorized capital of rupees 10 lakh, which can be divided into 1 lakh equity share having the face value of rupees 10. So here the capital which has been given here is 1 lakh of rupees. So here if we divide this 10 lakh of rupees, so if you divide 10 lakh by 10, you will get 1 lakh equity share having the face value of rupees 10 each. A company can increase the authorized capital by making an alteration in the memorandum of association. So if the company feels like that they wanted to raise the capital more than the authorized capital which has been mentioned, so by making an amendment, by making an alteration and changes in the memorandum of association in the capital clause, they can get the more amount of capital that has been mentioned in the memorandum of association. The next concept, that is an issued capital. Issued capital is that part of authorized capital which is offered by a company to the prospective investor for subscription. This is a capital which is being given as an offer to the investor of the company to come and invest in that particular class of shares. Thus it is known as a share. Thus it is known as that company that is offering to the public to buy its shares. The balance part of the authorized capital that has not been offered to the public is known as a unissued capital. The rest of the capital which is not been issued to the public, that is known as an unissued capital, and it may be issued in the future date for fulfilling the future requirements of the company. Here again the example has been given. M Limited company have issued capital of 4 lakh divided into 40,000 equity share of rupees 10 each, and the unissued capital will be 6 lakh divided into 60,000 equity share of rupees 10 each. So out of total 1 lakh of equity share, the company have issued only 40,000 equity share of rupees 10 each. So total amount that the company would get rupees 4 lakh, whereas 60,000 equity share rupees 10 each which is not been issued, that comes to amount rupees 6 lakh, that will be issued by the company in the future date. Let us see the next concept, that is a subscribed capital and unsubscribed capital. Subscribed capital is that part of the issued capital which has been subscribed or taken up by the investor. This kind of capital is the capital which has been offered, being granted by the ultimate investor, and accordingly they have said that we are going to purchase, and they have subscribed certain amount of capital. The public may or may not subscribe for the entire capital. If the company has made an issue of rupees 40,000 equity share, then there could be a chance where the situation like all 40,000 shares will be demanded by the investor. That means 40,000 equity share which has been issued by the company for the ultimate investor, all 40,000 shares could be sold out in the market. This could be one situation. There could be another situation that if the company has issued 40,000 equity share, that could be a situation where the company could able to sold only 30,000. So we can say the investor, they have purchased only 30,000 equity share, and 10,000 equity share is not been sold out in the market because there was no investor. There could be another situation, whereas when the company has issued 40,000 equity share, then the demand for shares of such company could be more. So we can say the company has issued only 40,000 equity share, but the demand of the shares of that particular company may be somewhere around 60,000. So there could be a chance where the company would get more application than the number of equity shares that they have to issue in the market. So accordingly we can say there is an oversubscription. This could be a situation when there will be a more demand from the investor about the equity shares of the company. This situation we called it as an oversubscription. So 40,000 the company wanted to sell, but the demand for the equity share could be around 60,000 or 70,000. Then the company will get an application more than the required amount, and this situation we called it as an oversubscription. But here we are going to see the two concepts, that is a subscribed and unsubscribed. Subscribed capital is amount of equity share is that kind of an equity share which where the investor of the company have purchased, and unsubscribed capital is that amount of capital or the equity share where there is no demand for that kind of shares from the investors in the market. So we can say the unsold or the unissued amount of equity share is known as the unsubscribed capital. Example also given here. If M Limited company has issued 4 lakh equity share, that is 40,000 equity share of rupees 10 each, then the company's subscribed capital could be 3 lakh divided into 30,000 equity share of rupees 10 each. Hence the unsubscribed capital, that is rupees 1 lakh divided into 10,000 equity share rupees 10 each. So here we can say 40,000 equity share the company have issued in the market, but the person have purchased only 30,000 equity share, and 10,000 equity share has been unsold in the market. So I hope that you all have very much clear about the third concept, that is the subscribed and unsubscribed capital. Let us see the next one, that is the called up capital, uncalled capital, and the reserved capital. At the time of issue, full value of the share is usually not demanded by the company. As I have said, the face value is of 10 rupees on each equity share. Then all 10 rupees will not be demanded by the from the company among the investor. The company will going to collect the total face value of the shares in installment and as per the requirements of the funds. So each installment is called as a call. Called up capital is that part of the subscribed capital which the company has called or demanded to be paid by the shareholder. So if the company says that we need rupees 5 on each equity share, so the investor have to pay rupees 5 each on each equity share. That is known as a called up capital. The balance capital which is not being demanded from the shareholders is known as the uncalled capital. So the amount that is remaining unpaid from the investor on the equity share, that is known as the uncalled capital, where the company will going to call this kind of capital in future date as depend upon the need of the capital and its requirement. Now the reserved capital is that part of uncalled capital. Again, a company can decide to keep aside a part of its uncalled capital to be called up only at the time of winding up of the company. So here we can say reserved capital is that category of capital where the company have decided not to call until and unless there is an emergency or the need of the capital in the company, or this amount could be called from the investor of the equity shares at the time of winding up of the company. So there will be, we can say, now reserved capital, we can say the company will have the we can say the investor have the maximum duration to pay such amount on this equity shares. So that is known as the reserved capital. Example is also given here. M Limited company have called up 1,50,000, that is 30,000 equity share of rupees 10 each, out of which the company has called only rupees 5, that is known as a called capital, and the rest of the rupees 4 that is not been demanded, that is known as a uncalled capital. If the company decided to keep rupees 1 per share as a capital to be collected at the time of winding up of the company, that capital is known as a reserved capital, that is 30,000 equity share of rupees 10 each, rupees 1 per share will be kept as a reserve capital. Uncalled capital of rupees 1,20,000, that is 30,000 equity share of rupees 4 each, which will be called at the time in the future requirement. So that is known as a called up capital, uncalled capital, as well as reserved capital. Let us see the next concept, that is the paid up capital and call in arrears. Paid up capital is the total amount of money actually paid by the shareholder when the company has called or made a demand to the investor to pay them at the particular shares sold out to them. The amount not paid by the shareholder is called as calls in arrears or unpaid capital. So here, if 30,000 equity share has been sold out to the customer in the market, the investor in the market, the company will make a demand for rupees 4, and the investor have to make an arrangement so that this 4 rupees which has been demanded or called up by the company, they should paid at its given time. If the investor couldn't able to pay this rupees 4 at a given time, then the company have the right to forfeit its share. Before the forfeiture of share, the company will again make a reminder to the investor so that the proper explanation could be given from the investor to the company, and accordingly the extra time could be provided from the board of directors to the investor. And if the investor couldn't reply to the board of directors, if he couldn't meet the deadline that has been given from the company to make a payment on the rest of the shares, then the strict action could be taken and accordingly the shares will be forfeited. The amount that is not paid up by the shareholder is known as the called in arrears, and every shareholder has to pay the call as and when the company demanded. Failure to pay the share results into the forfeiture of share. Example is also given here. M Limited company has made a call of rupees 5 per share. So if the shareholder have the paid the call, then the paid up capital will be 1,50,000. 30,000 equity share of rupees 5 each, 1,50,000 will be collected by the company from the investor. But if 10,000 equity share calls are not been paid, then paid up capital could be only rupees 1 lakh, that is 20,000 equity share of rupees 5 each, and call in areas where rupees 10,000 equity share rupees 5 per share. So that is known as the uncalled capital. I hope that you all are very much clear about the classification of share that has been given here, and you have understood each and every sub concept of classification of shares. Thank you.